So going to get straight to it. It's Kemi Badenoch and Kier Starmer, Prime Minister's questions. Let's have a look and see what's happening.
Later today, the Prime Minister is meeting the family of Sir David Amess. Sir David gave this House and our country 40 years of service. I hope the Prime Minister will agree that getting the response to his murder right is vital, not just to his family, but to our democracy. Mr. Speaker, every week, I speak to businesses who are letting go of staff or closing. Has the Prime Minister been given an estimate of how many people will lose their jobs because of his budget?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, just on the question of Sir David, he was a deeply loved and respected colleague, and behind me is the plaque, as is the plaque to Joe Cox in front of me. And I know this was deeply felt by the House, but particularly, as I acknowledged at the time, by the party opposite, who lost a colleague and a friend in the most awful of circumstances. Mr. Speaker, I am meeting the Amess family later on today, and will make sure that they get answers to the questions that they ask. Mr. Speaker, in relation to businesses, I'm really pleased to say we've got thousands of new jobs into the economy. We've got more investment in the last 20 years, an absolute record. Wages are up higher than prices. 3 interest rate cuts, the best boost for the cost of living for a very long time.
This guy's an absolute fool. He's put the national insurance up, and I speak to small businesses quite often as a part of my work, and some of the businesses I thought would be able to handle this blow have actually told me that they're not sure what they're going to do. There's businesses that have like 40 odd staff that are like smallish businesses that are, they're going to feel the pinch of this, and it's going to be quite hard for them. And they're not the people we thought were going to be struggling. So, he's delusional. It's mental because these people, the government's meant to have some of the best economists in the country advising them, and they can't see that what they're doing is going to ruin them in the future. But anyway, he seems to think he's right, so let's see what happens.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister needs to get out more. Inflation is up, and estimates of job losses are between 130,000 and 300,000. Okay. His tax rises are hurting every sector of the economy. Things are getting worse for nurseries. Nurseries are writing to stressed parents right now, telling them that fees will go up because of his jobs tax. Can he explain how more expensive childcare is good for the economy or for working families struggling to make ends meet?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we're putting in childcare. Look at the breakfast clubs, 2 in her constituency. But she's rather forgetting the $22 billion black hole that they left, that we had to deal with.
That talking point angers me deeply. They're so full of nonsense about this black hole because, again, these economists, all the economists said that before they even got into Parliament that they knew that was there. Like, they can't just say that, it's magically appeared. It didn't just magically appear. It was there. They all saw it beforehand. They're just using that as an excuse now to tax people, and it's a total farce. And he says, we have to plug up this black hole. It's like, well, if you're going to do that, let's not send 11 billion in climate aid to international countries. Like, you're out of your mind. I hate that talking point. It really annoys me when he says that.
That's why we had to take the necessary but right measures we did in the budget. And what's her response? Not that she'd reverse them. Oh no, she doesn't say that. She attacks what we've done, but she doesn't say she would reverse it because she wants all the benefits of our budget in returns of investment, but she doesn't want to pay for it. That's how we got into the mess in the first place.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is out of touch because he should know that nurseries are charging over £2,000 for full-time care. That's £24,000 a year after tax. And he's talking about 60p breakfast clubs. He has no idea what people...
To be fair, I thought that when he said it about the breakfast clubs, like, mate, that's nothing. What are you talking about? But anyway, she's created them.
People out there are experiencing. And it is not just the families. Even councils must pay his jobs tax to cope.
I will note as well, I'm not just like bashing Starmer for the sake of it. I mean, obviously, I don't particularly like him, but I don't particularly like Tories either. The Tories have really made a mess of the last number of years. I'm not too familiar with Kemi Badenoch, but this seems to be coming across okay here. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of either party, just to let you know.
With it, the average council tax bill is increasing by over £100 in April, after he promised to freeze it. Hard-working families' money is going to the Chancellor instead of social care and fixing potholes. Why should these families pay more for less?
Well, she really shouldn't denigrate what she calls, I think, 60p breakfast clubs. She should be welcoming them. And she asked about council tax, Mr. Speaker. The Tories put up council tax every year for 12 years. Their manifesto, Tory LGA manifesto, government should remove the caps on council tax. And then Hampshire Council, Tory, wanted a 15% increase. We said no. Slough Council, again, Mr. Speaker, Tory, wanted 3%. We said no. Windsor and Maidenhead, Tory, now Lib Dem, wanted 25%. We said no. We're the ones that are doing the right things to get this country on the right track.
He's obviously getting a little bit there because obviously they say no to the 15%, but then they'll take it down at the slightly lower percentage. Black Belt Barrister actually did a really good video on exactly some of the stuff that they actually do to get around some of the legal stuff if they say that they're not going to do something, and then they work out like a legal way of actually being able to force through what the certain councils want. I would strongly recommend checking that out. It's really interesting. Anyway,
Mr. Speaker, the point
to say though that if all the figures that he's just said are right there, then she looks awful after that.
point is he promised to freeze and they are going up. And if he wants to talk about councils, let's look at Liverpool or maybe Birmingham, where the rubbish is piling up so high, people vote Labour and all they get is trash, just like what he's saying at the dispatch box.
Even he's having a little giggle there at that one. That's fair enough.
People all over the country are suffering, not just in Birmingham. Millions of elderly people have had their winter fuel payments.
Was that Diane Abbott there? Is that Diane Abbott? Didn't even know she was still going. In Parliament, not.
Payments snatched away. At the same time, care home fees are set to go up by a devastating £3,000 because of his jobs tax. How does he expect pensioners on a fixed income to make ends meet?
Mr. Speaker, this is why it's so important that wages are up higher than prices. That's why it's so important that the interest rates are coming down. This is the biggest boost for the cost of living for a very, very long time. What we're doing is picking up and fixing the mess that they left.
Kemi Badenoch. Go.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is not looking at what is happening out there. Every day I speak to businesses who are telling us that they think that they are going bust. And as if businesses and families didn't have enough to worry about, supermarkets say food prices will increase by over 4% because of the jobs tax. And that's before...
And it's all these things like... companies that run with like a super small margin are really going to be affected by all these little things. Like they're eventually just going to hit a wall and stuff's going to happen and it's not going to be good. So they really need to start addressing some of this stuff.
We get to the immoral family farms tax on the very farmers who work so hard to produce our food. What does the Prime Minister have against farmers anyway? Does he not see that his budget is killing farming in this country and he is making life so much harder for everyone else?
Mr. Speaker, the budget provided £5 billion for farming over the next 2 years. That is a record amount. We've set out the roadmap for farming, which has been welcomed by farmers. Many thousands
Is he going to say for many thousands of
of farms have benefited from the farming schemes. But she talked...
He's actually full of shit because I actually speak to farmers quite often too, and well, maybe not necessarily down to Labour policy and stuff like that, but certainly there's a lot of constraints that farmers have to go through these days, and there's a lot of places now, a lot of big companies and charities that are actually buying up farmland and using it for a carbon offset. And it is, if he's talking about increasing the military budget and military spending, and is posturing for war potentially, which is a load of nonsense. He is flying in the face of all that by allowing all these companies to buy up the farmland and do carbon offset, because really, if you're going to posture for war, ideally what you want to be doing is increasing your production in your country so that you're more self-sufficient. But what do I know?
Talks about prices, wages are going up higher than prices. That's the first in a long time that's happened. So for families across the country, they're better off under Labour.
Kemi Badenoch.
He's got no answers today. What the farmers are complaining about is the sustainable farming incentive, which he has just scrapped or withdrawn. They are making mistakes with this budget. And that's why in 2 weeks, the Chancellor will come to this House to present an emergency budget the Prime Minister said we would not need. They will try and make out it's because of global events. But the truth is they trash the economy with their bad choices. They said they'd look after pensioners. Then they snatched winter fuel payments. They said that they would be pro-business, but they hiked taxes on jobs. And he, Mr. Speaker, he promised to freeze council tax, but it's going up by £100. This is a high-tax, low-growth, job-killing government. Will he use the emergency budget to fix the mess he's made?
Mr. Speaker, inflation under them 11%, £22 billion black hole, a mini budget that made us the laughing stock of the world, and they want to give lectures on the economy to us. No, thank you.
Some of that's certainly true, but at the same time, the Tories did have to deal with COVID, so I mean, that could be an excuse too, I suppose, COVID. But man, I don't think that was as good a burn as what Kemi Badenoch just gave him. But anyway,
very much.
Okay, that's the end. Kier Starmer is actually going to have to address some of the things that are going to be coming along with his budget that is going to just destroy the productivity of our country. And it's sad to see that that's going to be the case, but there's not a lot we can do about it at the minute. The election's quite far away, so we'll just need to hold on, hope Nigel's got something, or hope the Conservatives can come up with something. But time will tell. But anyway, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank and subscribe, please. Thanks very much.